how's it going? I'm Marlena. Thanks for wandering by. Welcome to another tarot vlog. So, I guess I've started this series, and I've done one already, and I think I'm going to keep going. I have a list. Oh, I'm already telling you. Well, you know from the thumbnail that it's the Tarot of the Hidden Realm that we're playing with. But in any case, I have a list of 25 decks that I wanted to make sure that I worked with in 2025. And I've worked with several of them already, but I started a little tarot vlog, which was like in homage to Katie Flowers' Tarot and Practice series that she did years ago. And I wanted to do something like that. And I really enjoyed doing little clips, little bits, with the last one that I did called the Tarot vlog with the Elemental Tarot. And now we're going to journey. We're going to journey into the hidden realm. We're going to do the Tarot of the Hidden Realm. Now, this deck is on my 25 and 25 list because I've used it a while ago, but I haven't used it in a long time and it's just been kind of hanging around. So, yeah, I just wanted to work with this deck, and today is what we're calling day one with the Tarot of the Hidden Realm for this vlog. And it came about because so I've been exploring some things recently with like anxiety and fears, and definitely fears and anxieties that are like passed on generation to generation. And so I've been doing some like shadow work around this. But whenever like all my family is together and my daughter is, around too, like it just, I mean, I'm being a little bit, personal and vulnerable here by saying this. Today that kind of came up with like just constant like anxiety and fear that I feel like I is behavior that I've learned and behavior that I'm worried that I'm passing down. And I was journaling and I wanted to like dig into it deeper. And so I thought, what would be the best deck for me to use to try to like, uncover some more of this? And so I decided to grab the Tarot of the Hidden Realm. Um, and I'll show, I mean, this deck has been around for a long time. The guidebook is written by Barbara Moore, and the artwork is by Julia Jeffrey, who has a newer deck out that was like a sensation this past year. I want to say 2024. Um, so I'm bending it backwards because it's glossy. I honestly, this deck is gorgeous. And the guidebook so far, like I was reading a little bit of it. I don't know why I had this idea that it was a narrative. I don't think it's a narrative in the sense that like the cards are connected necessarily narratively to one another in like one continuous story, but rather it's just very descriptive. And so what Barbara Moore does is it just like kind of brings you into the card and like kind of introduces the character and the moment in time as if this is like a snapshot kind of where this character is and what's going on. Anyway, I was flipping through the guidebook looking for a spread specifically today because I wanted to like look into that shadow of that like fear and anxiety. And well, I guess I'll show you because I guess I have some b-roll footage here that I can put in. But this is the spread is called what is hidden spread? And in the guidebook, it says this spread is directly inspired by this deck and its theme of hidden energies. Use this spread to get advice about to best handle a situation. So, like, my situation is really like, what is at the core for me of this like specific fear? Like, what is this anxiety about? And how, like, I really want to know, like, how can I keep from passing it along? And like, I guess my biggest fear is that my fear is that I'm already passing these like fears of like I don't know, like the unknown really, I think, is what it ends up being, but like it manifests as like a fear of heights or a fear of traveling or a fear of um I don't know, just like a little getting hurt, a fear of falling, things like this. um but anyway, it says also, um, the first position is what is hidden. And this is the key to solving your problem or resolving your situation. It is what you need to acknowledge and use, and is likely something that you've overlooked or discounted. And so I got the high priestess, as you might have already seen in this footage that I've been showing. And then the gift, this is what you can use or do right away to improve the situation. And we got the Four of Pentacles. The challenge, this is the sticking point in the situation. It will be the hardest part of solving the problem. And I got the Two of Cups. And then the last one is the reward. This is the outcome if you are able to overcome the challenge successfully. The Hierophant is what I got. And so, I mean, just like doing a quick kind of recap, because I've been thinking about this for the last, like, I don't know, half hour, before I popped on to talk about the deck itself. Like, the High Priestess has been hanging out with me a lot from other decks as well, but I really love this High Priestess, this like beckoning and this like dancing that she's doing. It's so like, I love this like alluring side of the high priestess, and I love this like call. It feels like a calling. And the thing that always pops into my mind whenever I'm, you know, whenever I get the high priestess is like, but you know, you know, you know what the issue is, and that is like 100% true. And then the gift, I read the guidebook entry for this Four of Pentacles, and I know that there's a lot of other decks that do this too, and I have this sense of the Four of Pentacles as like stability, security, and safety. And some folks read it as like, to do with like greed and money and like holding on. So for me, it's like this like double-sided coin, where there's this like desperate need to feel safe and secure. I think that's why this is like coming up as like a generational thing for me, like feeling safe and secure with your parents, and then like passing that feeling of safety and security on to your child. But at the same time, there's like fears and anxieties about the world that I don't want to, but I'm also holding on to it. I wonder if that makes sense. Like there's this need for stability and structure, this need for like this family unit structure, but then there's also this um there's too like holding on to those lessons and then keeping them and like passing them on down. And it's just like, really great that this happened to have a mama badger and her babies. So it was that just made sense. And then the challenge being the Two of Cups, like that was really interesting to me too, because I was thinking like how different my partner is in terms of like being more like having more like being more a little bit adventurous, or being more of a risk taker, not being so scared of everything all the time like I am. And um and I was thinking like, I feel like the challenge is, and this is something that, I've been with my partner for 16 years. My daughter is 11. Like, we have our own family that's independent of my family unit with my parents and siblings. Like, but that, like, enmeshed quality that I have with my family, like, still carries over. And so I feel like the biggest challenge for me always has been to figure out how to sort out like the family that I came from the family that I've, been like created and have been developing, and like separating those two things. And like, the sorry, my voice is going. And like, I don't know, just what, like passing things along generationally, if that makes any sense. And then what was the last one? The last one is the Hierophant, is the reward of the outcome. So the outcome is like, if I'm able to like move through this challenge, then I can like sort. And that's so funny because the High Priestess and the Hierophant are also kind of a duo. Um, but I can sort out, because this is like the internal and this is the external. If I can sort out what I was saying, if I can sort out like the traditions or the things that I'm like happy to like pass along and move along and continue along, versus, the things that I'm not. Um, but that's the tradition, like that's like the the trajectory. So this is day one. And already day one is proving to be pretty dang good with the Tarot of the Hidden Realm. Like, I know that this is a fabulous deck. Like, it's been around for some time and it's very beloved, but I think it got, put on the back burner for me with a bunch of other decks. And also, I don't have the Witch Sister, but I know that that was like so popular that I was kind of just like not really interested in Julia Jeffrey, because that was like such a big deal. I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, I am going to continue to work with the Tarot of the Hidden Realm, and I will report back next time that I do and let you know how we got along, what we're doing, what's my thoughts are on it, and in this little tarot vlog. So yeah, thanks for uh hanging out for this one, and I'll see you on day two. Hi. So we're on day two of me working with the Tarot of the Hidden Realm, and I brought you into my bedroom because this is where I honestly do most of my tarot readings. So I definitely use my filming space, the one that you see most of the time with the candle and the whatever. I do that. I that's like an altar kind of space, but in here is where I really do a lot more of my like actual readings. But something that I do with a lot of my tarot decks is sort them like in various different ways. So I've already separated this deck into the majors and then all the suits. And I'm just like, I don't know, I'm just gonna like show you that I like show you, because I look at the cards basically. Like, I sort things out, and then I sort them in different ways. I look at the majors, I just place them out and look at them. This deck like is so character driven that I feel like I want to look at all of the cards and like think about, the person, the fairy. I mean, they feel more like people than fairy, but and like get to know them and then see what I can see. Like with the majors, I don't have enough camera. Like, I don't have enough of a good angle to put everybody like out, but I just, like to see what I can see. As with the majors, not as much as with the minors, I'll tell you that. Like with the minors, I like to look at the suit as a whole, and then each of the like numbered cards together. Something I've noticed about this deck is the amount of children that are in it, and that's interesting to me because I don't think I have very many decks where like little kids feature that I actually enjoy. So yeah, so then I separated. I already did all that sorting, and I thought, why don't I just turn the camera on? So one of the things that I like to look at with the suits is if there's like a color that stands out. And I think that the wands are more like yellows and reds than the other cards, but I'm not sure that. And then we'll look at the court separately too. So yeah, there's more reds. This one is darker though, which is interesting. Like I'm just looking at like colors now. It's interesting that this one is darker than the rest of the cards. You can't read the title, but that's fine. See, again, children. There's like so many children. I don't know how I feel about this Three of Wands. Sometimes I think I like it and sometimes I don't. I love this bottom row though, for sure. I really do. And then the court card, sorry. So are all the aces, so I think all the aces are animals. And I don't see any other animals in here except for that ace. And then, is there like a progression of age? In the courts, not really, because that king looks really young. I would say there's not a lot of age diversity in this deck. The colors are different though. It's not like you can immediately tell that these are that these are aces, that these are wands. I don't know. I'm just talking, looking and talking. I'm gonna keep them in order in case I want to look at like all of the kings and all of the queens or whatnot. So no, there's not like a color palette here either. Actually, it's funny. It seems like the higher numbers are like darker for some reason. But no, the color palette, I mean, it's definitely watery and everybody's dealing with water in some way. And then we have our otter or seal, otter? And it's an otter, not a seal. Here are the seals. I've never really paid attention to this Four of Cups before. Huh. Is she a mermaid? A selkie? Is that what's happening there? Should I look in the guidebook? I don't want to right now. I don't want to do guidebook stuff. I just want to look at the cards. Well, I think that this person looks a little bit older. I mean, this deck has been around for a long, long time, so I'm sure you guys have seen it and had people discuss it, but this is just me kind of working through it. God, this Five of Cups is amazing. Oh my God. I don't know that I've really paid attention to this. This is why I'm doing this. This is definitely why I'm doing this. Oh, wow. All right, let's look at the courts. The page, that's not a young child like in the wands. The knight looks younger than the page. And very wistful. This queen, she's cool. And then the king also looks really young. Why are the kings so young looking? So young looking. And no animals. Well, there are some animals, but they don't feature. But there's definitely like the person is the focus, except for that otter. Okay. I mean, I guess there's more blues and grays across the board with the cups. I love this card too. I love it. The cards where, I don't know, the portrait is really realistic looking are maybe my favorites. Maybe we'll do a looking at favorites next. This one might be a very long video. Oh, I love that Three of Swords with the roses so much. Okay, so the swords are like feeling more like purple gray with this like strange yellow one in there. For what reason, I don't know. That Ten of Swords is badass. Yeah, it's got like purple grays. This one seems out of place. Do we have any animals that are... Okay, so there are birds here, an owl there, but like mostly this, is this a heron? Great blue heron? Not sure which one it is, but I don't want to look at it right now. Okay, and then, yeah, I mean, I wish that maybe the colors had been like clear, like more obviously swords. Like this sticks out to me, which is interesting. It's the Four of Swords. Well, I guess it's probably the like more quote unquote positive of the swords. All right, let's look at the chords. The page doesn't seem like a young child. The knight seems like a young man. Queen is young. Now this king seems a little bit older, maybe middle-aged, but definitely not old. Interesting. I don't love the sword suit as much as I think I like the cups. But this is amazing. I really like, oh yeah, I didn't pay attention to this is my birth card. It's one of the cards that I like to look at the most. Oh wow. Oh wow. Wow. I think the more I look at it, the more intense it seems, just because of the look on her face and her eyes. This is an interesting Seven of Swords. So yeah, I mean, the guidebook like places you in the card, like it's just describing what's going on. This Two of Swords is, I think I vaguely remember the guidebook entry on this, but it's puzzling. And then I love the animals and the aces. Okay, let's look at Pentacles. Okay, the Pentacles seem a little bit like the Wands coloring. Okay, so I think this might be the only other card aside from the aces that features only animals, which I think is really weird. I'm wondering why. All right, so we definitely have more earth tones, which makes sense in the Pentacles. There are other animals, but not like that one. Isn't that weird? I would have thought that like maybe here and there that would have happened again. Yeah, we've got more like brown, greens. This color palette seems to match, except you have this, the ace is so brown. It's like almost like red brown. I love him. He's so great. The three. Oh, interesting. The 3 and the 8. It's like very similar vibes here for the 3 and the 8. I would might get those confused. I like this guy. Yeah, pregnancy and the 7 of Pentacles I've seen before. All right, Paige, we have a kid. Teenager? Preteen? Maybe? The Knight seems actually a little bit older. This Queen. Ooh. She reads a little, well, a little Queen of Wands to me, but she's very earthy. She reads kind of Empress-like too. Maybe I'll compare those two. And then, this is the only King of Pentacles. There's another person in there, and that's an older person. I mean, we've got gray hair. Huh. I mean, these are just things that I'm thinking of. Okay, and so this is the last way I would do, well, not the last way, but another way that I would do the sorting is to look at everything, you know, across the numbers. So all the aces for sure are the animals. I love them. These are like, this is one of the reasons why I love this deck. Or one of the things I love the most about this deck. So 2 people, except for the 2 of Pentacles, that there's 2 buds there. Interesting. This 2 of Swords is really confusing. I'm gonna have to read about that. It's, yeah, this deck is, you know, interesting. Because sometimes it seems really apparent with the people, like what's going on, and sometimes it doesn't. All right. I think I don't like this. Like random animal card. So surprising. I like that. I really like that 4 of Cups. I don't know about that one. That reads 5 of Pentacles. 6s. Oh, I do. There are a lot of cards where it's more than just one person. I mean, maybe not a lot, but enough. Love her. I like this okay. Meh. Meh. 9. 9. Fullness. Ends. I like that. Okay. Anything that I can say about the pages across the board? They're not all young. These 2. I mean, not all like children. Maybe. Probably not. They're so much more like introspective than I would have thought, these knights. She seems so much more like a fae creature than any of the rest of these. And maybe in the whole deck. These guys completely throw me off. I don't get it. As being so young. He looks like somebody from Game of Thrones. All right, let's do cards I love, like, and don't like. Hermit. I like it. I don't think I love it. Honestly, I don't like it. Even though I said it was the only one that seemed really fey, I don't like it. The Knight, it's okay. I like it. The Sun, I like it. The 9 of Swords, I like it. The 6 of Swords, I like it. The Emperor, I like it. The King of Pentacles, I love this one. That's a big amount that I like. Only some I don't. And I love quite a few. So, yeah, this is just me playing with my cards. I'm just, looking at everything, basically. I just like to look at it all and to set it all out and see what it is I like and what I don't like. It's really just like a hot take, really, not like a too in-depth deep dive. And it's not a first impressions either. Like, this is just me like looking at cards, and I'll do, I'll also just like shuffle and pick one card and look at it. No guidebook, just me and the cards, just hanging out, just sorting them in various different ways, sorting them by major, minor, sorting them by number, just looking at the court cards, just like sorting things by color, just looking at all of the cards, just organizing and reorganizing and playing with them that way, I think is fun. And that's, yeah, just kind of how I've been hanging out today, or how I wanted to hang out with the Tarot of the Hidden Realm today. These are my favorites now. I love these so much. But yeah, I feel like this is a deck where I need to, I think I'll come back with like some sort of deep dive on this card. I think I want to get to know these characters. And like I said, the guidebook reads like a snapshot. This is probably my favorite card. God, she's amazing. Reads like a snapshot into their world. Anyway, that's it for me for day 2 with the Tarot of the Hidden Realm. I'll be back for more. Okay, hello. I'm now on day 3, what we're calling day 3. These aren't consecutive days, they're just days that I've been ready to talk more about the deck as I've been working with it. So, day 3 of Tarot of the Hidden Realm. It's morning, I got my coffee. I've been reading the guidebook, and I was doing some more deep dive reading this morning. I've read I've read parts and pieces of this guidebook before, like I I don't know, the year 2 years ago when I worked with this deck for the first time, and then hadn't really picked it up since. So I was just thinking and just wanting to share my thoughts. So this deck came out in 2013, written by Barbara Moore, and the art is by Julia Jeffrey. So there's so many things that I feel like are enigmatic about this deck, like, and I think it's purposefully done that way. Part of me like wonders, like, how, like, the creation of it, how it came about. Did Barbara Moore have a vision for each card and give that vision to Julia Jeffrey, and then it came about? Or did Julia Jeffrey have artwork of this hidden realm that they kind of discussed together, and then Barbara Moore picked which card seemed more appropriate for the tarot? Or was it a mixture of both? Or was it all, you know, and I don't think that takes away anything from either creator. Like, no matter what the creative process was like, I still think, anyway, that's a puzzle, a mystery for me. I don't know, it's probably answerable somewhere. Not, doesn't seem to be answerable in the guidebook, because the guidebook is all about like calling you into the hidden realm. Another thing is that I'm thinking about with decks like this that are portraiture decks, like, most of the cards are faces, just, looking at you different ways. There's not like a lot of scene in these cards, and so I feel like when you're reading a portrait deck, which I think now since 2013, there's more of them. There's so many of them, and I think that there's like a specific kind of thing that happens to me when I'm reading a portrait deck, where it really becomes like an investment in the character, the archetype, um, which is easy to do with court cards and with the majors, but it's different when you're talking about the minor cards. So I just think it's like a mystery, like a puzzle to solve. I like that the guidebook is written with this like descriptive way of like bringing you into that moment with that particular character, but I'm not sure that it always aligns with the way that I read the tarot. And I don't even know if it probably said somewhere in the beginning whether or not this is like aligned to the Rider Waite Smith, which I feel like it must be. But I wanted to play with, like, read specifically about the Two of Swords because this card really, like, didn't make like it really stood out to me and didn't make sense to me until I, read more from the guidebook. And so that's kind of all I'm going to cover um today, with this update and is the Two of Swords. And it's so I'm not going to read from the guidebook to you, but basically in the guidebook there's this like the scene is set where this guy, fairy soldier, I don't know, he's got a sword and he has like given his sword away to this woman who is reading, like takes his sword. She's not going to hurt him, it says, but she's like reading the truth with her like moon like magical mystical ways. At least that's my takeaway from it. And I like that the moon is brought into this, even though you can't see the moon in the card. And that's like reminiscent of your Rider Waite Smith Two of Swords, but also the astrology of this card of the Two of Swords is moon in Libra, so it's moon in Libra. And there's a whole so the divinatory meaning of this card, according to Barbara Moore in this guidebook, is about different ways of knowing the truth and finding out the truth. Um, like, is it in your head or is it something like practical you can figure out? And so I don't know, I feel like that's the key. It makes me think of Thoth, the Thoth card a little bit too, more than the Rider Waite Smith. So the Thoth card is peace. And it definitely has it's the Decan, right? Is moon in Libra. So I just thought that was interesting to note about it. Another thing is that I don't know, those of you that are like love the Tarot of the Hidden Realm, have worked with it for years, tell me if you've like noticed characters reappearing, because it looked to me that this guy, even though the tattoos are different, and this guy are the same. Maybe it's a different, time. Like maybe this is later after he got the tattoo. So the Knight of Swords. And then it looked to me like this girl and this girl are the same person. And I'm like having trouble. Doesn't it? I mean, I know the tattoos, she's got tattoos on her face, but she looks kind of like she has the tattoos on the arms. And so then I was like, off to the races, kind of writing my whole romantasy story in my head between the Knight of Swords and the Page of Cups. Anyway, I was thinking that, like, if there's like peace between the two elements, between water and air, that was one thing I was thinking. And like what they had to teach one another, But she's the one that's in the position of power here in this card. So, like, what is it that she's bringing to the table? I don't know. Yeah, this is a very different Two of Swords than you ever really do see. Another interesting thing that I was thinking about doing was doing like a kind of like a Barbara Moore study of how she reads the Two of Swords and how she writes about the Two of Swords. But I think I was looking up, I was trying to find other Barbara Moore decks that I own, and like weirdly, I think this might be the only one. That can't be true. I think I like haven't looked up the extent because she's done so many decks. But that would be another really cool thing to do is to like look up more Two of Swords. How does she read the Two of Swords? How does this fit in with her like canon of the Two of Swords? Anyway, it's an enigmatic deck, I have to say, because I feel like it leaves you, the guidebook just leaves you kind of like questioning more. It does place you, sometimes it does place you inside and it speaks directly to you. Sometimes it is just third person, um, and talks about, you know, the scene. Um, and sometimes it's like kind of just very enigmatic, you know, like puzzling. Like it's just like, what does that mean? And I have to think about this more. And it's like, it's just sort of like wispy. It's got for me like the wisps the of the meanings of the cards, but it's like, I don't know, it's something else. It really feels like kind of something else where it's very, so very character driven, but not story driven. So it feels like it's like, here are all the characters. Now you figure out how you're interacting with them and what you want to do with them. That's really what I feel like about the way that the guidebook is written. Anyway, that's I'll leave you for now because I've this video is gonna get so super long. Anyway, that's it for me for day 3 with the Tarot of the Hidden Realm, and I'll be back for more soon. So I'm back and I haven't checked in a while. It's been a minute. Like, I don't know if you guys are following like the moon phases back there. I'm really bad at like turning it over, so usually not correct, but I think we're correct right now. Anyway, it's been a little while since I checked in to talk about the Tarot of the Hidden Realm. So this is day 4 now, and I think this is going to be my last check-in. I don't remember a lot of what I said in my other check-ins, except that I have, you know, I just have some few takeaways and like the last reading that I just did with this deck, and I'm really glad that I got back into this deck this month. I've been working with it off and on for a couple of weeks. So like these check-ins and some other things that I've been like, you know, doing with it. But I did a reading that was significant that I did yesterday, and I feel like this is giving me like my ultimate takeaway from this particular deck is that the experience of this deck is an intimate one. Like I feel like it's never the same. But because of the portraits, because of the close-up feeling that it has, and I think because of the way that I was approaching it as like spending this like really close time with it, that it's been reflecting that back to me, like this like intimacy, and like this knowing of me that like it's, you know, like it's heard, like it's heard me and I feel heard by it. um so yeah, I've got, you know, I've had some stuff going on in terms of like family stuff that's been really, really difficult recently. And I needed to go to the cards, or I wanted and needed to go to the cards to like figure out like what of this sort of situation it is like my responsibility and what is not my responsibility, and like what do I do next. There's just a lot of like drama surrounding, you know, all of this stuff, and it's just been um emotionally taxing and also just heavy on my heart. Anyway, I so I pulled cards and I asked the Tarot of the Hidden Realm, like, what's mine, in this sort of thing. And I got the Blasted Beach, which is the Tower card. And it's really interesting because I have the Tower card as part of my set of cards of the month for my year ahead reading. And I wrote a poem way back at the beginning of the year in January to kind of match those um those cards. And I was wondering when the tower kind of moment would arise in July. And sometimes it's a very internal tower moment, and sometimes it's a very external tower moment. And this was, a very external one. And I just thought it was really interesting that, like, what's mine is like what I felt like this was saying very, I mean, clearly to me is that, like, what's mine is that this is a moment where things are kind of clearly chaotic, clearly kind of falling apart, clearly, like, there had been some, like, I had been feeling some, like, more like peace and settled with some of these particular situations, and then this just sort of blasted the beach right open and kind of like reopened some particular like wounds, and that's what happened there. And then I asked, like, what isn't mine? Like, what's not my responsibility in this whole like situation? And um I pulled the Three of Wands. And if you've watched this video, I know that I said that I don't like this card. I don't like this card at all. And I think when I got it and it said that it wasn't mine, I realized some things. Like, one of the things that I don't like about this card is it makes me feel uncomfortable because I feel like this is not um, even though, like, I mean, like, I could see, I mean, if I wanted to, I could like look in here and see myself and my partner and our child together, but I don't. And I feel like it's definitely not me. It's definitely, I don't see myself here. It feels like I'm like intruding on a very intimate, um, moment, or it's like somebody else's history, it's like somebody else's family and something else. And honestly, that when this came up as an answer for what's not mine, that's what it made me think of. So there's a whole lot of family history that came before me that has that has an impact on me, but that's not mine. It's not like it's the history of, people in my family, but I wasn't there. It's not my responsibility. There's things that I don't need to be taking on, because it's not mine. And like it impacts me, and like I want to, be aware of the things that impact me, but I don't need to, it's not mine, and I don't need to look at it as if it is mine. So I mean, I know I'm being a little bit like vulnerable but vague at the same time because it's just a lot. Like, it would take me a long time to explain all this stuff to you. So, like, I just felt like these were so, like, intimate and so, like, spot on in a very, like, it knows me kind of way. And like was listening to me. Like, it knows I don't like this card. Like, that's, the deck knows, and it's, feels like it's just me, right? Knowing more about myself too. Anyway, those are the layers of, tarot and how tarot works, and that's a whole other ball game. But and then finally I asked, what so like what am I supposed to do now? So like now that I know what is mine, now that I kind of see what's not my responsibility, like what am I supposed to do with that? And I got Temperance. And that was a perfect answer because it's like, okay, so I have to mix these things together. I have to like, and also like realize like like as a part of, my family history. Like I'm a mixture of all of the stuff that came before me. And have to recognize that about myself, but I also have to like recognize that I need to like just like kind of mix these things, like be aware, of what is something that's not me and be aware of what is mine to like, to kind of deal with, like suss out and like open up and, figure out and like and heal from. I mean, um this feels, temperance and the star have a lot in common sometimes to me because of the water being poured and the sense of like healing I feel like that comes from both of them just because of waters, and I've been feeling that healing waters kind of thing in here in the summer. But yeah, this is a work in progress. This is definitely a work in progress. But yeah, the Tarot of the Hidden Realm, um, I guess I'll show some more cards. We've been looking at it a lot. Um, I I feel like I will definitely visit with this deck again, but probably not for a while, and I think that's fine. I think that's totally fine. I think that I had like quite an experience with it these past couple of weeks, and I do think that getting to know and thinking about these characters it is a real intimate experience. And I wonder if like other portrait decks, kind of will do that for me as well, or if there's just something so emotive and emotional and connective about these faces, in this tarot of faces, as it was called, like, a while ago. Like what it does is really make you feel connected to these people, I feel, sorry, I'm just looking at them again. I feel in some way connected to them. uh it's just a personal, very personal, intimate experience, and I don't know that I get that from every deck that I use. So anyway, I'll stop. I'm rambling now. I can tell I'm just rambling now. So I'll end it here. This is probably a long tarot vlog, and yeah, that's it for me with Days Gone By with the Tarot of the Hidden Realm. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. Let me know how you're feeling about these tarot vlogs. I'd like to do more of them. I'm enjoying these little clips of coming in and checking in with you. So tell me if you like it too. And yeah, thank you so much for sticking with me. I hope that you liked this, and I hope that you all have a beautiful, wonderful day. Bye.